Okay guys, so today is the answering time for the 500 subscriber Q&A. I'd firstly like to say thank you for all the questions and also thank you for all the nice things that people said in these comments. Because if I say it for each one as we go through them, it's going to take too long. So just know that I do appreciate the stuff that you say. And also a big thank you for 500 subscribers because that is what this video is to celebrate. Now, I do have Red with me, but you're not going to be seeing me with him for the whole of this video. I'm going to be putting other stuff in, so be ready for that. And yeah, just so you know, I'm not going to take as long answering the questions as I have in the past, because otherwise those videos go on for too long. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first question is by Serpentine, and he or she asks, is it rare for a lizard to have an extra limb? I have a birdie with 6 fingers on both of his front feet. So I'm assuming here that you mean digit and not limb, which is like a finger or a toe. And that does have a clinical name. It's called polydactyly and it's caused by a dominant gene. And so it can be quite common amongst other tetrapods, which is animals with 4 limbs, even humans. I know it's in cats quite common, but apparently it's quite rare in reptiles actually. Paradox Zero would like to know what got me into keeping animals. Honestly, I've just had a sort of lifelong interest in them. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but I literally can't remember not being obsessed with them, so I've sort of always been interested in keeping them. So here is a couple of questions from Lizard. His first question is, what is my favourite morph of leopard gecko? Normals, just the wild types, are my #1 favourites, but I also do like jungles and bandits. He also asks, I'm working on a setup for a day gecko, do I have any recommendations for plants? Well, I'd definitely say Pothos, Phytonia, Neoregelia bromeliads and Guzmania bromeliads, because they're all easy to grow and they look great. And finally, he asks, do I like cheese? And the answer to that is it depends really. Some cheese is alright, but I'm not a big fan on the whole. Crested Gecko asks, how many reptiles do you have and what is your reptile goal? I have 3 reptiles at the minute, my leopard gecko, crested gecko and corn snake. I don't really have a set goal with reptiles, but if I had to say, I would say just to learn as much as I can about them, to do something where I'm always around them, and to try and help as many of them as I can to like have good lives in captivity and whatever, which is why I do videos so that people can learn how to look after them. So next up is a question from Shane. He asks, do I plan to get more reptiles in the future, and if so, which species? Well, I do plan to get them in the future. I mean, the future could be any of the time left in my life, so I definitely plan to get more, just when, I don't know exactly. But I am really keen on having a go at keeping royal/ball pythons, Brazilian rainbow boas, bearded dragons, panther chameleons, as well as a whole range of other things. Reptile Republic asks, how long's it taken me to get all of my animals? Well, I got my first pets when I was 2. They were goldfish and we had them in a little tiny plastic tank, and obviously they didn't last long. But then we got my budgie when I was 5, and we still have him now, and I've had animals since then. In terms of reptiles though, I got my first reptile in 2014. Next up is a question by the Shizzle O Whizzle. Probably said that wrong. What is your favourite pet store, and if none, your favourite place to obtain reptiles? Well, my local reptile shop is definitely Warrington Pets and Exotics, because I mean, they're a little bit of a way out from me, but they have loads of different species and they have a good range of dry goods, and everything's really clean in there, which, you know, is really good. Raphael Didymos has asked 2 questions. The first is, when a snake changes its skin, is it normal for it not to eat? So if you mean like when they go into blue, when they're about to shed, that is quite normal. My corn snake won't eat in blue, and I know many other snakes won't eat in blue, so I wouldn't be surprised or worried about it or anything. He also asks if it is normal, which I've just said it really is, to be honest. After that time, should we give the snake food? Well, as long as it's actually due a feed, then give it maybe a day or something after it's shed, just to get used to being how it is, and then you can offer it food. I did that the other day, and my snake's usually really hungry after he's shed. JP Exotics would like to know, what made you want to keep reptiles and what's your biggest reptile regret? Well, like I said earlier, I've always been obsessed with animals, reptiles in particular. And my biggest regret is probably being a bit early in the hobby, because if it had been slightly later and had more time to research, I would have gone straight into bioactive probably, but with being maybe 6 months too early on the information, I've went and bought lots of sterile setup type things and then just not got a use for them now, so I've wasted a lot of money. Josh Gimple asks, what is my dream reptile, non-realistic and realistic? Well, realistically, I think it would be quite possible for me to own a Chihuahua gecko, which is a type of New Caledonian gecko, like the crested gecko, and non-realistic, which I'm assuming is like a thing that, not that it's a fantasy animal, but that it's just not gonna ever happen, would be an exanthic green iguana, because I just think they look amazing. Backyard Wilderness asks, what other pets do I plan on getting? Well, I don't have any set plans, like I sort of said earlier, but I would like to try my hand with royal pythons, and I would be interested in getting a high quality female crested gecko to maybe try my hand at breeding. So the last question is by Levy Walters, and they ask, would I ever get a tortoise or chameleon? Well, if I had the space and the sort of knowledge to look after a tortoise, then I'd probably consider getting one. And if I had the funds and the space for a very large, bioactive, planted, all that stuff, chameleon enclosure, then I would definitely get one. So that brings us to the end of the 500 subscriber Q&A. I hope you did enjoy it, and once again, thanks for getting us to 500 subscribers, because we would be nothing without you. And thanks for all the questions and the nice things that people said. So yeah, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and do consider subscribing if you hadn't already. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys. Yep.